So yeah, my name's Eoin, and I'm a yogi and a blissologist, and it's my life mission to tune into something big and help it to fuel all my decisions, because I really believe at the center of our being that we're all deeply connected to an infinite source of joy and wisdom, but we cover it up continuously. And we need to keep it uncovered culturally and individually. And when we do this, we can answer what I call the ultimate life question, which is how can I balance out my own personal desires, what I want to take from the world, with my impact on others, the web of life, the ultimate human question. At the end of your life, where are we on that scale? And one of the things that we need to do this is to make ourselves feel good, and then we can spread it around. It's that simple. So to what I'd love to share with you, my idea we're spreading right off the hop is this. Can you stand up for a second? Maybe have some lights. Yeah, this has come up onto the tippy toes. This is a great idea we're spreading. You'll see. Reach up and make a beautiful arc. Open up and take a breath in. Breathe in, out. Yes. Breathe in again. And then keep breathing on your own. Your second breath actually came from plankton, from the ocean. Now, what you're going to do next is take your arms, once you feel good, so you got to spread it and wrap them around the people beside you. It's called a hug. We call in yoga, we call this hug asana. Woohoo! Yay. And this is my baby right here, my brand new baby, Ananda Lion, and my wife, Insia. Yeah. Okay, so have a seat. We'll get started. I think that's a great idea to spread. So if you want to, you just saw Ananda, this is him again. If you want to create a better world, then you need this tool right here. Not a baby, that helps, but I'm talking about a hammock. And I was thinking about this just now, actually, being around so much youth, so many youthful people. I was at Hollyhock a few years ago, and there's this course called The Power of Hope. And there was a kind of a question-answer period with the older people and the youth. And one of the questions the youth had for the older people was like, I never understand why someone comes on TV every night and says, good evening, and then continues for the next half hour to explain why it isn't. And I want to kind of explore that question, why do we disconnect from people so much? I mean, what is it that makes us unplug from other people? And exploring this question, my answer is this. We're in conquest mode so much. And there's nothing inherently wrong with conquest mode. I mean, Gandhi was on a conquest of sorts. But conquest, as I define it, is what keeps us busy. It's our actions in our day. And most of our actions are actually preceded by a belief system. So what that means is that everything we do in our day is preceded by a thought, which is preceded by a value system. In other words, everything we do in our day has meaning. And I think that's this very value system of our society that needs to be overhauled, because when I look at the central value of what's going on, it has to do with economics. And economics is everything to us in our world these days, and I've seen this over and over again. And the problem with economics isn't economics itself, it's that our current paradigm is built on this, if I have to describe it, it's this. Nothing personal, just business. You've heard this, right? And this is how we do our business in the world. And what happens is, because our economic system impacts how we live so much, that all of a sudden how we treat each other isn't personal, it's just business either, and we've kind of dehumanized ourselves. And so we need to really look at the way that we relate to each other and come up with something new. And the interesting thing for me is that Columbus really represents this. So if you don't know, this is the sixth drawing from the 1600s of Columbus. So he arrived in what's now modern-day Haiti and Dominican Republic. And it sounded like, if you read his journals, you can look them up online, they're absolutely fascinating. And he shows up and he finds this society that's really peaceful, and people are in touch with nature. I'm not trying to say it was utopia, but they had these values. And if you and I showed up there, put it this way, we'd probably go, this place looks like a lot of fun. I mean, let's have a luau or something, right? And what does Columbus do? Being the beach party guy that he is, he shows up, and you can read in his journal, he writes, wow, these people are so peaceful, they have basically no weapons. I can subdue them with only 50 people. They have all the gold. They've already showed me where their resources are on day one. They're so damn nice. And you know what? They're going to make excellent slaves. So this is our value of conquest mode gone wrong, when we unplug and disconnect from other people, and we really need to assess that. And what's interesting, really beautiful to me, and really ironic, is that the person who discovered or really represents the uber conquester is the person who brought back the solution. Columbus actually, I don't know if you know this, I didn't, but he actually brought back the hammock to Europe. And the hammock represents all the values that we need to reinstate in our society to make this a really, not just a sustainable place, but a thriving place. And I really recognized this when I was in Costa Rica in 2006. That's when I was teaching one of our, yoga ecology surf retreats. And it's then that I reached Hammock Enlightenment. I sat in a hammock away from the hot Costa Rican sun, as people do in Latin America. And everything, I've been studying Eastern and Western philosophy since 1987. I'd done a ton of yoga and meditation. And everything that I'd read about enlightenment happened to me right there in the hammock. What do I mean? Physically, my body was at ease. My breath was relaxed. My organs were really unwound. And this is important, because this is one of the most fundamental things you can do for your health. I mean, we think health is running some ultra marathon, but studies have shown that it's not the people who are running 2 marathons a month that are living the longest. It's people who do moderate exercise and then relax. And Dr. Oz's book points this out. Now, not only is it good for your health, though, when you get your body into a relaxed state like this, but then it helps to affect your mind. And what happened to me was beautiful. I started to appreciate all the splendors of the world around me. I was looking at the light in the trees. The pattern of the ants just seemed amazing. And when I was busy, I wouldn't have noticed these things. I was looking at what the ants do on the forest floor and thinking about it, and it seemed incredible to me. And you know what? I just wanted to build an ant shrine. I was in love with ants, and this is what poets do, don't they? Don't they just open you up? You can just look at something and see it as it's no big thing, or it's a miracle. And Einstein said it best. He said, you can live your life as if nothing is a miracle, or as if everything is a miracle. So in other words, what we get through Hammock Enlightenment is connection with nature. And this is so important, because when we are in nature, it's the most fundamental thing we can do for our health. Because I think it's the foundation of the spiritual experience. What happens when you see something beautiful? I mean, think about this. A sunset or a flower blossoming right here in the spring. You think to yourself, this is amazing, and there's an inhalation. And on that inhalation is the actual spiritual experience. And it happens way before you want to send a Facebook message or Twitter about it. It's in that awe that we really need to cultivate more, where we're having our breath taken away. And if we don't have this, I think we really lose our values of connection with nature, and this is important. Last month, I heard a radio documentary by David Suzuki, and he interviewed a researcher. And in the inner cities in the US, there's actually architecturally the same buildings, exact same buildings, but some have trees out front and some don't. And the crime rate is significantly lower in the buildings with trees. So if we aren't building cities that around our nature and having trees, then we've got problems. And I see this all the time, because I went to Japan. I mean, if you ask people, what was your nature appreciation moment today? They will have a sparkle in their eyes, way bigger than any amount of jogging or yoga or organic food eating. There is something that connects us to nature. And I asked this question in Japan, in Tokyo, when I teach there. And I said, what do you guys do for nature appreciation? And you know what their answer was? Immediately it came back to me, someone answered. They said, who has time for that anymore? And I thought, oh, I'm so sad, because the religion of Japan, do you know what it is? It's called Shinto, and it's a nature-worshiping religion. And it's gone. Our values have changed all across the world. And so I walked outside, and I see every brand of material goods that you could ever see, Louis Vuitton, whatever. And then I also found 100 people waiting in line for Krispy Kreme donuts. And I'm thinking, you don't have time for nature appreciation, but you can wait an hour for a donut? This is incredible. So Hammock Enlightenment brings back the value of nature appreciation. So I thought to myself as I'm lying there in the hammock, I'm going, God, I wish I could bring everyone down to Costa Rica, make them do a retreat, and tune into what I'm feeling here. And I realized, God, that's not so sustainable. So I had this other idea. Why don't I bring the hammocks to them? So we did this. We brought hammocks to the center of the Conquest zones, the business districts of San Francisco and Toronto and Vancouver. And in these times, it was incredible what happened. I mean, the first things, here's some other pictures of it here. The first things that happened was, it's unreal how people think, this is in Vancouver, it's amazing how people think so much about economics. Because the major question people asked us was, the conversation kind of went like this. It was amazing. This is beautiful, doing this in the city. Try it sometime. Start your own movement, but please don't sell anything, because this is my story. I mean, people came up to me and they had conversations like this. Hey, how much are the hammocks? I'm like, we're not selling hammocks. Well, what are you selling? I'm not selling anything. It's an art installation. We're saying hop in a hammock and enjoy your friends and family and press the big reset button. You can do that? I'm telling Mom. They had this idea of like, there's a rule against that, isn't it? I mean, and we think so much economically in our city. I mean, I had corporations approach us and go, the vibe at these things is incredible. Here's all the kids there. I mean, the vibe is incredible. Can we hire you to run these things so you can get a great crowd around and we can give out our drinks? I'm going, this is not exactly what we're doing. We're trying to point out that we think like this too much already. And what we found by putting hammocks from trees is we built a beautiful temporary community. It was exactly the model of communities as I think they should be in our cities. People slowed down. Moms rested with babies. There was art and music and laughter and businessmen who were too busy to eat. I mean, they're in conquest mode, just like, must have lunch, eating. No, they stopped and they sat in a hammock. And they, not all day, just 10 minutes. And these people emailed me later and they said, you know what, I was so much more productive, thank you. And I said, of course, what basketball player plays the whole game, right? But we expect people to, and we get into this frenzy because we're too much stuck in conquest mode, and it makes us disconnect from people. I met an 82-year-old man, and he was telling me about his stories in the Navy. And in the Navy, they used hammocks so much, and they were fascinating stories. And I loved talking to this elder. He had so much wisdom to share with me. And I thought to myself, God, when is the last time I ever talked to an 82-year-old man in the city? It doesn't happen a lot. In fact, when is the last time we talked to anyone in our cities anymore? I mean, and if you look at what I read in the Utney Reader years ago, they say that if you wanted to punish people in medieval times, you didn't kick them out of your society because then they would go to the next village and become blacksmiths. Do you know how you punish them? You treat them like a ghost. You don't make eye contact. And that's the way we live. I spent a week in New York and London last year. And I was riding the tube or the subway for 2-3 hours every day, and I had one thing I wanted to do to entertain myself on the subway. I wanted to make eye contact with one person. I saw tens of thousands of people up and down escalators on the subways, and I didn't make eye contact with anyone. All I could look at was the ads on the subway. That's it. We connect economically, and slowing down makes us connect more. And that's kind of what I want to say is when we slow down, we connect more, and that's our ultimate point. I'll get to this slide in a second, but what I really feel is that the experience of Hammock Enlightenment makes us kinder, and it opens us up to love. And when I say love, I just really want to clarify what I'm thinking, because love is such a big word. I mean, the Inuits have 28 words for snow, and we just have one word for love, so there's so much territory here. But if you're thinking romantic love, then that happens too in a hammock. It does. I mean, the Mayans had 101 sexual positions in a hammock. It's incredible. I know what you're thinking. Where's that slide? I don't have it. But this can happen because you've got to pay attention to your relationships, because if you don't pay attention to your relationships, if you don't have time for this, it's like not watering a plant. And if you don't water a plant, it turns brown, and then there's no turning back. And our divorce rate is huge, and we need more time to concentrate on our relationships. On top of that, slowing down makes us kinder. But I'm not even really talking about kindness. I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about the deep, mystical love that's inside all of us, that every single one of us has access to, but we need to keep it central to our idea as a culture, and that needs to be mined inside of all of us. And I don't know what this love thing is. I really don't. But I've been thinking about it since I was a kid. Every day, 5, 10 times a day, I'm coming back to this thought. What is love? Where does it come from? And how does so much of it fit in one small body? And why are we not making it the most central value in our culture? So the neuroscientists will tell you this. Here's where the slide comes in. Love is the experience of dopamine and oxytocin in your body. These neurotransmitters come into your body, and this is what we feel. Now the mystics, they tell us something totally different. They tell us that love is a force in the universe, like gravity, like electromagnetism, and we tune into it like a radio tunes into radio waves, and it comes through us. We are conduits for it. And this is what we get when we become quiet and still and find what the yogis called sattva. And we find this in hammocks. We find this when we sit under trees. We find it when we have slowness and stillness and presence, and we need more of it. And I don't really know where it is. I don't know if it's just chemical or if it is a mystical thing in the universe, but all I know is this, that one thing for certain about love is it blurs the line between where you end and someone else begins, right? So what I mean exactly is, back to what my original thought was, is we got to find our perfect balance between selfishness and love, and how we do this is we connect to others, and love makes us connect to others. And we're thinking about our own self most of the time. We're up here. If it's a scale, we're up here. And other people, the web of life, is down here. And when we have love, all of a sudden it tips the scale. And one of the reasons why I want to show you my baby is because I'm in love with him. And parents all around the world have told me that they would take a bullet for their kids, and I would too. And this is the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me, and we need so much of it in our society. But why end just with our kids? Because there's an infinite source inside, and this is what connects us when we feel that there's earthquakes on the other side of the world, or when people are having hardships down the street. And every story you've heard today from these great speakers has been about this ultimately. And it's what makes us think about the generations coming 7 generations from now. It's what makes us think about other people in general. It makes us think about the creatures of the oceans and the forests and the lakes. And we need to get in touch with this, and this is the essence of the word namaste. Namaste means when I am quiet and still, I know deeply that you and I are connected on a profound level, and I bow to it. I bow to it. And this has to be our dominant theme in our society. And when I'm talking about hammock enlightenment, I just want to make clear that it doesn't mean that you just sit in a hammock and sit there and smell the roses and stay there. Because I'm asking you actually to be active in the world. But you have to let your values come from this place of stillness, of nature, of connecting to others. And the hammocks represent this to me. And this is such an important value for all of us. Because it's a calling that we all need in this generation. Because I was thinking about this just this morning. You probably feel like I feel sick at what we're doing to this planet. I mean, I am a surfer, and I am getting stung by jellyfish everywhere I go. Because we killed 90% of the top feeders, the tunas and the big fish, and it hurts and it stings, and the bottom feeders are coming up into blossoming. Why are we doing this? Why are we dumping toxic waste in the ocean? Why do we have the tar sands in this country? We have so much work to do. We have so much work to do, but it has to come from the information we get by stillness. We have to find the courage to come back to this still place. It hurts me more, I was thinking this, it hurts me more than when my dad died, and that hurt. Because at least my dad was supposed to die. And we weren't supposed to do this to the planet, right? So we have to come back. We need a bliss army to do this. So my challenge is this. This is our connection. This is who we need to connect with. This is Columbus in a hammock. Can we take 10 minutes every day and sit in a hammock? Can we get under a tree? This is where the Buddha reached enlightenment. Can we do this? And if you can't do it literally, can you connect to the values that I'm trying to present through Hammock Enlightenment and reinstate these as the most central value in our system, in our whole way we live? Secondly, can we take a check-in every day, every hour of every day, at least once a day, and go, where am I on the scale of conquest mode and hammock mode? And we need both. We really need both. The conference is about courage. And cœur, as you know, is the French word for heart. Let's make this the age of the heart, and we can do this. So I just want to end with our Hammock Enlightenment mantra. And it's like this. We want to make the world a better place by slowing down our frenetic pace. By doing so, we make a space to open up to love and grace. Let love rule. Yes. Woo. Thank you. Yay. Woo. If this was Bill and TED Talks, we'd say, be excellent to each other. Thank you. Yes.